Here are 5 good reasons people donate their vehicle. 1. Because they like to skip the hassles involved with selling to strangers. 2. Because they'd rather save the trip and the cost of going to a repair shop. 3. Because they just want more for their car than a low trade-in deal. 4. Because it feels awesome to support a nonprofit and make a difference. 5. Because it's tax deductible and they like saving money. And one more great reason people donate their vehicle is because it's easy. Call our toll-free number or visit us online to donate today.
Good morning, and we are back. This is Morning Joy Mental Notes, and of course, I am your host, Kenneth TJ Joyner. I'm excited about today's show, but first I must let you know that today's show is brought to you by Therapeutic Interactions Counseling Services, where we provide outpatient therapy to people of all ages, right? You can find us over in Greenville, North Carolina. And if you want to just learn some more information about us, you can always look us up online at www.therapeuticinteractions.com. For spelling, that is THERAPEUTICINTERACTIONS.com. And if you want to give us a call, you can always hit us up at 252-689-8671. Again, I'm excited about today's show because we're going to be closing out the month of May. And if you've been paying attention, you've probably seen people talking about how May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So today, I wanted to just talk about simply that. Like, what is mental health? We've talked about a lot of topics involving mental health, but I said, let's scale it back a second and go back to the beginning of the whole space. Like, what is mental health? Just so we can make sure we understand what we mean when we say mental health and we say mental health awareness, right? So just in the basic definition of mental health, the definition is basically anything that pertains to your emotional, psychological, and social well-being, right? Your mental health, it affects how you think, how you feel, and how you act. It helps to determine how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and it helps us to make healthy choices. So I wanted to make sure that we understood when we walked away from today's episode that we understand exactly what mental health is. So I use physical health to put mental health in perspective for people because a lot of times we've been dealing with physical health our whole life and we understand the concept. So when you talk about a person's physical health, it's their health as it pertains to their physical well-being. Mental health, as I explained, is your health as it pertains to your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. A lot of times I'll hear people trying to define that they have mental health issues, and I'll hear them say, I have mental health, right? And I just wanted to make sure and clear up that mental health itself is your wellness as it pertains to your mental health. So the proper term would be mental health issues, which is okay. And I say that because a lot of times that word, it can scare us, just being honest, right? So I want to let people know the importance of mental health, just like physical health, and the importance of getting treatment for your mental health. So when you think about your physical health, you understand that it's important that I'm my optimal self. So you may go to the doctor for checkups, routine checkups. You might not have a lot going on, but you may go to the doctor just to see if everything is in order. So the same way with mental health treatment, you can do the same because it's important for you to make sure and check and see that your mental health is doing well. Just because you go to get mental health treatment doesn't mean something's wrong. Just like if you go to get a checkup, it doesn't mean that you have any type of illness or anything like that. But mental health does have its layers, just like physical health. So in physical health, you do checkups. In physical health, you may find yourself sick. So you may get a cold and things may be thrown off, but you can get medication and treatment to bring yourself back to your baseline state. Same thing with mental health. You may lose someone and go through grief. You may have a lot of stressors and go through anxious spaces or anxiety, temporary anxiety or temporary depression. And you may need to go get treatment to get yourself reset. And that's okay. Right. And then, of course, just like physical health has layers where there are diseases that are more serious and diseases that can be ongoing and long lasting, mental health has those as well. And they're referred to as mental illnesses. So you may have somebody that might deal with a more serious illness like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia that can affect them for a long majority of their life. Right. And that's okay as well, because it's just like the physical health side of thing. I think the issue becomes that we can't see and calculate much like physical health. So a lot of times physical health, you can see physical symptoms. So you might see like a broken arm or rashes, or you may see somebody visibly coughing or visibly showing a different presentation. Whereas with mental health, it's not as visible. So some of the things that you may see if somebody's mental health is off is irritability or poor relationships back to back, or them depending on substances and unhealthy coping mechanisms. But I want us to start looking at it as just important, because it is. It's just as important as physical health, right? So I just wanted to start there by just distinguishing the difference between mental health and having mental health issues and having a mental illness, so we can know going into the next month exactly what mental health is, because that's what awareness is all about. It's about us being aware of what these things are specifically, and then how we can approach them and assess them and address them, right? So going forward, I did want to break down just that definition part that we talked about at the beginning, because we talked about how mental health includes your emotional, your psychological, and your social well-being. So with that being said, when we talk about emotional, that's how you feel. Right. So one of the ways that you can start tapping into your mental health is paying attention to how you feel, knowing yourself in terms of feelings. We all have them. So we all get happy. We all get upset. We all get sad. We all get disturbed. We all feel angry at times. We all feel all of these different feelings, and that's okay. So knowing yourself is the first step. But when these things start to get off track, and they start to get off track at an extreme or significant pace, we can start to look into, okay, we might need to get some type of support, whether that's a self-help book, whether it's tools that we might already know or have, or whether we need to go see a professional and get more connection to resources. That's an indicator. So one of those things may look like I said, just feeling more down for a longer period of time than we used to feeling, right? Feeling happy or elated in a euphoric stage that we've never expressed, and we feel like, okay, this is kind of off because nothing is affecting me in a different way. And I just see myself feeling one emotion to the extreme, and it feels different than my normal baseline, because we know ourselves. So this is what that is pertaining to, that emotional side. And when you learn tools and get treatment to help, you can bring yourself back to the reset space, the baseline space, where you can know, okay, I'm feeling okay, I'm feeling good. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing that we talked about was the psychological well-being, right? And this is how you reason and how you think. So your ability to think about things. We've had to go through school. As adults, we have to work. So we know our ability to break things down, to comprehend, to be able to focus on things, to be able to reason when things happen. We might be dealing with relationships, and we know, we're able to take things in and see them and deal with them in a certain way. We're able to deal with our kids in a certain way. So when you find yourself not able to do those things, not able to focus, or you find yourself having like brain fogs where you're like, I know this information, but for some reason I feel stuck. I keep running into these spaces where I feel stuck, and this is not normally me. Or you're in school as a child and you're like, academically I'm getting A's and B's, but now I see my grades dropping to C's and D's, and that's not my norm, and I can't quite put my finger on why it's doing that. This is one of those spaces where you would start to assess and then ultimately address. This is all under the mental health field, right? So when we think mental health, sometimes if we don't have good insight into what it really means, we can think it just means mental illness, right? So if I go to get treatment, then that just means that something is extremely wrong with me. But I'm here to tell you that it ranges from grand to minor, right? And you want to make sure you're on top of these things, because our bodies continue to take in things day in and day out that affects our mental health. So if we don't jump on these things, then they can start minor and grow into major. Like I said, just like the physical health side of things, if you have a common cold, right, but something happens and an infection comes, then it can grow into a bigger issue if we don't get this treated. So if you find yourself having those emotional or psychological hiccups, so to speak, then if you treat them, then you can prevent yourself from going into a deeper hole, so to speak, right? So those are the first two things that we identified in that definition. And then that third thing is the social well-being, which is going to be how you act with and around others and how you take others in. And that's a big portion to round it out, because we deal with people day in and day out, whether it's family members, whether it's friends, whether it's co-workers, whether it's just strangers that we're just seeing out in the community. We have to deal with these folks and these individuals, and your mental health is going to be the indicator of how well these interactions go, if they're healthy or unhealthy. So if you find yourself in a space where you're like, man, I love people, I love going around people, but lately I've just been wanting to isolate, or lately people have just been getting on my nerves, just to say the least, right? And you're like, this is not normally me, and I don't know exactly what's going on. This could be one of those indicators for you to go and start assessing and addressing. Like I said, if we need to seek professional help, then we can go and seek that type of treatment or professional help. But if not, we may just need to seek some self-help tools, like a book or maybe a YouTube or a podcast that can help us out and assist us in that manner. But I want to make sure that when we leave this month of May, that mental health awareness is raised. So what that means, just in review, is we know what mental health is, meaning it's our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we feel, how we think, and how we act. And it also helps how we determine and handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Then I want us to know the difference between mental health and mental illness and mental health issues, right? So mental health encompasses the whole world that is surrounding our mental well-being. Mental health issues are those things that can affect us day to day coming from our mental, right? Mental illnesses are more in-depth in terms of like the long effects or the long lasting type of illnesses, just like you have physical illnesses that are long lasting, right? You have colds and you have potential like infections and things like that, and they range all the way up to terminal diseases. And we know that there's a range with mental health illness and mental health issues as well, right? So I want to break those down. I wanted to break those down for us and make sure that we knew and understood leaving Mental Health Awareness Month. So hopefully this was able to give us some insight on what mental health is, what mental health awareness is pushing us to do. We can go and dig deeper now that we know the basic tenets of it, but I'm excited about what you can do going forward into the next month with this information. So again, thank you for joining me. And as we get ready to close out, I just want to remind you that we're brought to you by Therapeutic Interactions Counseling Services, where we provide information on mental health and we work with individuals to help optimize their mental health. So again, I just want you to make sure that you prioritize your mental health, make sure that you know yourself and assess yourself on a regular basis, just like you would your physical health. And when we get ready to come back, we'll build on that knowledge based around mental health. But until next time, you make sure that you do what you need to do. Always protect your peace. Make sure that you always stay in tune with your star player. And I will see you next go around. Take care.